Hello and welcome back. Going to take another look at the animal pen extension mod. I had a question on the previous video. Is it possible to work with the animal pen extension in maps that have pre-built animal pastures and pens? Well, initially I thought no, because of the folder structure and various other different things like that, but I've done a little bit of testing today, spent a few hours doing this, and I have actually managed to get it to work, but there is a lot involved because the folder structure will differ from map to map. I cannot guarantee that it will work with every single map. You may have to move some folders around, change your location of your XMLs, your i3Ds, and various other different things. But I've downloaded Oakfield today. I actually haven't had an opportunity to play on FS19 as of yet. I've been far too busy with some other stuff. But I downloaded it to have a play around on the map, and I thought, why not use that to demonstrate this, because that has animals that are pre-built, or at least the pastures are pre-built into the map itself. The husbandry side of things is still based around the placeable mechanic, which is what the mod kind of works with, if you like. So I see no reason, or I saw no reason why it shouldn't work. When I thought about it a bit more, my initial thoughts were, no, it can't work. It's designed around your placeable mods that you purchase in-game. But then after a little bit of messing around and whatever else, I've kind of got something working. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be, right, wrong, or whatever else, but it's what I've done. And it may give you guys a direction to go in if you wanted to include the animal pen extension mod within a map, your maps, whatever maps. So let's just see where we end up. Apologies for the dog having a moment. So I've got literally freshly downloaded Oakfield map, and I'm going to extract this out now and we'll have a look at that. I've also got the animal pen extension mod zipped up. This is important, and I'll explain that in a little bit. I've also got it extracted because I'm going to need to work with that as well, and the instruction download, because I'm also going to need to work with that as well. There's a whole lot more. It's a new ball game. There's quite a lot to take in. It's a fairly advanced sort of setup, but hopefully what I'm going to show you, like I said, will at least give you some sort of direction to go in. First of all, what I would say is, when you look at the i3D and the XML that controls the husbandry for the cows, make sure they're named the same. In this particular case, they are not. You have the cows i3D, and then you have the husbandry cow large XML. Because these are not named the same, the Giants editor scripts that come with the actual instructions for the animal pen extension will have difficulty working with it. Now there are some options in the actual Giants editor script that you can change to update the file names for the i3Ds and the XMLs and other things like that, but I struggled to get that to work. That's probably something I'm doing wrong, so I figured to make things a little easier, it would be better to just make sure they are named the same, and then it kind of works a little bit easier. So you don't have to start editing scripts and God knows what else. Editing XMLs can be confusing enough. If you've got to start editing scripts, that can be even more confusing. You could do this one of two ways: either change the name of the i3D or change the name of the XML. Either way will take a little bit of messing around, because you'll need to update other file names. I'm actually going to create a new i3D so that it keeps this one intact. So if everything goes wrong, I've got this one as my backup, if you like, the original one, and then change the name in the actual XML to the new i3D. And theoretically, once everything's completed, you could then put it back to the original one once all the testing is set up. But we'll go through that as we sort of go through it, and then hopefully things will become clearer. So I'm going to open the original cows i3D in the Giants editor, and I'm literally just going to save this out as husbandry cow large, so to match the XML. So I'm going to take the name from here, and I'm just going to go save. Make sure you're in the right folder, and then paste that name in, and you can see there it matches the name of the XML. And I'm going to hit save, and that's it, and then I'm going to close it down. So now I should have my i3D and my XML named exactly the same. And if I open up the XML, I can then overwrite this with that as well, so that it points to that particular i3D, so the game knows which one I want to load in. But like I said, at the end of it all, once you know everything is working, theoretically you could name it back or point the file name back to the original one, because everything's just going to be loaded in through the placeable mechanics. So I see no reason why it wouldn't work with the original one. But for testing purposes and to work with the scripts, it is better to have them named the same as each other. The other thing is that because normally when you're working with a placeable mod, the XML would be in the root folder, and then your mod would be, in the mod folder directly one folder back, if you like. It can find everything easily. But if I open up the husbandry for the cows now and try and run the scripts, it can't find what it needs to load anything in. So if I go into the scripts for the water add-on i3D, it's going to tell me straight away it cannot find the animal pen zip in the appropriate folder structure. So either change the file name in the script or add it to the mod. It gives you a lot of information, so it's really, really well laid out. There are a couple of things that are a little bit glitchy in my opinion, but again, that's probably something I'm doing wrong more than the script itself. But I'm just finding workarounds and what works for me, I guess. So what we need to do is actually put the animal pen extension zip in the root folder of this map. Now, like I said before, depending on your folder structure and where you have your XMLs and i3Ds located, this may be different for you. You might have to put it in a different folder. If you've got like your XMLs in 20 folders deep, then this would have to be in folder 19, if that makes sense. Theoretically, again, I'm not sure if that would even work, but you probably would end up having to move your i3Ds and your XMLs to a better folder structure, in my opinion. Now, if I actually open this up and do the same again for the husbandry cow large, and then run the script again, it's going to give me a different error, but this time it's going to give me the same error as I had in my standalone placeable, which is the fact that it can't find the husbandry cow large XML or any animal pen extension tags or keys. So we need to add those in. We need to add the tag in so that it can actually locate what I'm looking for. So possibly the easiest way would be to take the name from here, so you know that it's looking for something specific, and we'll make a copy of that. And if I then close this down and open up the XML, we'll go all the way to the bottom of the XML here, make a couple lines, and then all I'm going to do here is just add in the animal pen extensions like so. And that's it. That's all you need to do. So now we can close that down and run the script again. So if I open up the i3D in Giant Editor and we run the script again, it should now find my tags. But obviously there's going to be no parts in there because I haven't allocated any kind of parts in the XML. But this is actually okay. This is fine because there are some things that just don't seem to load in properly, which I had some issues with the location of player triggers and various other different parts. So I'm actually going to do this a little bit differently. Where I did in the first video, I actually added all the parts into the XML from the sample mod, and then it preloaded all the parts I needed. I'm going to do it a little bit differently because of the way we're working with a map. We're actually going to have to load all of this into the map itself to make it work properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually close that down, but I just wanted to show you what you need to do there to get this side of things working properly. And then what I'm going to do is actually load in to the map itself what I need. So it's a little bit sort of backwards and forwards here because there's a lot that needs to be taken into consideration when you're working with the map. It's a lot different to what it is if you're working with just a base sort of standard setup, because I can't visualize any of the building structures in the map when I'm working with the a separate placeable which just consists of triggers. So there's going to be some slight changes. So what I want to do is kind of work with both here. So if I open this one up, and we'll run the script to get my parts I need here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the parts manually. So I'm going to go into the Animal Pen Extension mod, Extracted mod, Shared Parts, Animal Pen Parts, and I'm going to bring those in, and I'm just going to choose what I want to work with here. So I'm going to need the player trigger, and that, and I'm going to use the tank dark green like I did before, because I think it's a more appropriate size. That one, and that one. I don't need the chicken water trough. So I'm going to cut all of those and put them in the parts transform group, and then I'm going to delete all of those parts like so. I don't need any of that stuff. And now that I've got what I need here, what I am actually going to do is move some stuff around. So I'm going to take that one and that one and that one, and I'm going to cut those and put them in the main transform group like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and just check. Should be okay. Yeah, should be fine. What I'm going to do is take this and export it. So I'm going to take all the name from the attributes here, and then I'm going to copy that file, export selection with files, desktop, new folder. Then I'm going to paste that into there, open that folder and paste that into there and save it. And yes and yes. And then I'm going to go into the map and I'm going to import it into the map. So I'm going to go File, Import, and bring it into the map. I'm also going to import the chicken husbandry. I've got chickens on the mind. I'm going to import the cow husbandry. So I'm going to go into the Oakfield map, into the cell points, husbandry cow large, which will place everything where I need it to be. So I've got the visual of where I put all the parts where I want them. And we'll move that one up for one folder, that's fine. And then what I'm going to do is place everything where I want it to be. So we will, I guess what I could have done is actually added the decorative parts. I think what I'll probably do in this case is I'm not going to bother with the decorative parts, because I don't think you really need them, in my opinion. So we'll just sort of forego those, but if you wanted to include them, you could do. Just import those into your into this stuff here. So if you wanted to have the decorative parts, you could just import them in. So we'll go into Animal Pen Extension, Shared Parts, Deco Parts, and then you could just take all of those and put them into the decorative parts like so. And then you would export this, so you had all those parts in there to place where you wanted them to be. But I'm actually not that fussed about those. And the pre-built parts, I'll show you that hopefully in a little bit on how we can get that sorted out. So if we go back into here again, we're now going to just place all these parts where we want them to be. So leave the main transform groups at 0. We don't need to mess with those. So I'm going to bring over the tank first of all, like so, and we'll rotate this. Let's do 180, maybe 90. I don't know. Let's do 90. 90. Yeah, that should be okay. We'll do 90. That's all right. Yeah, that'll be fine, because then we've got the actual decals and everything out here. That's okay. So then what I'm going to do is just bring all of this stuff over somewhere where I can see it a bit easier. And tank green, excellent. So what we'll do then is we'll do this one and put that up the top there. So I need to rotate that by 90. And then we can position this one in the appropriate place. Something like that will do. And then I can do pipe straight, and we'll rotate that by, let's see, minus 90, like so. And then if I, let's see, what have we got? Let's take that. Get the height right. Then we should be able to get that into the right position there somewhere. Maybe that's the wrong way around. One of these ways, the pipe is flanged on one end, but not on the other end, so it's... but that looks like it's actually got... Maybe that end is flanged, so... Okay, so that's fine. What we need to do then is actually rotate that by 90, and then drag it this way, because I think the flange is on the other end, so we need to make sure we position that correctly. There we go, that's better. That's better, that fits better. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Okay, fantastic. So then I can take the pipe bend, Control D, and make a copy of it, and then rotate this by 0 and bring it down and position this, hopefully. Not sure if they're something like that maybe. Yeah, there we go, perfect. Right, so that's that one. And then I can do pipe straight, make a duplication of that one, and that should be 0. So I can move this one into position. Something like that. And then make a duplication of that one and then go all the way down to somewhere like that. There we go, fantastic. So we've got our pipe work now set up. And then we need to change the positioning of them all because we want them to spawn in the correct order. And this is important. So this one would be the first one. So that needs to be at the top. So we can then do like so. And then this one. So if I take those and put those at the bottom. And then we have this one. No, this one. So I can take those and put those there. So we should have this one first, then this one, then this one, and then this one. So let's just move that one up to the right place. And then we should have another pipe bend. This one here, so we'll just move this into the right place. Like so. So it will go this one, this one, this one, this one, and then this one. Fantastic. So then we have our flange, so we can move that into position wherever you choose to put that. So somewhere like that will probably be okay. And then I'm going to take the attributes from here, left shift, left control and C, and we'll click on the valve and left shift, left control and V and move that over into the right place, somewhere like that, maybe. Yeah, that'll do. And then we'll go to the flange, control D and 180 and move that over into the right place. Something like that will probably do. So we want that, and then we want the other flange to be directly under that, like so, and then the valve, and then our spout. So now we need to position our spout in the right place. So we'll do like so, maybe bring it down a little bit, and then rotate that by -90, so it's in the trough. Fantastic. So that's those parts, and we have that, and then our warning stripes, we can put those just there like that. Perfect. Oh, actually not so perfect. Just bring it back this way a little bit. There we go. That's better. Okay, so that's that part of it done. Obviously, I'm not going to worry about the deco parts in this particular scenario. So we'll do our player trigger and we'll put that in here, turn the visibility on so we can actually see a little bit easier and move that into place. Something like that. Excellent. Then we have our milk sails. I'm going to put that over here. So we'll do like so. Move that into position like that. Then I'm going to take the player trigger, make a duplication of that, and I'm going to put it back just below the other one. That's fine. And then we're going to move this one over to here. Like so. Excellent. And we have our interactive icon, which we need to put inside this area here so that it matches in with our player trigger. Something like that. So the player trigger doubles up for the build process to start and also to turn it on, turn the actual water trough add-on once it's all built. So that should be fine. And then what we need to do is double check everything here. Then we want, if you want to have pre-built parts, what I would suggest is to make a copy of what you've got in here and then paste them into the pre-built parts. So, but it's not required. You don't need to have that if you don't want to. It's only just for show. So up to you entirely. You could do that. Again, just to make this a little bit shorter, I'm not going to bother. But if you do, I would suggest to maybe take only certain parts, like your valve, your spout, but leave the tank green and the warning stripes. Don't have those, and then just make a copy of them with Control C, go to your pre-built parts and paste them in, and then once they're in here you can move them and position them however you want them to be laid out on the ground. But like I say, I'm not going to bother with those, so I'm just going to leave them out for now, just to hopefully make this a little bit shorter. But if you wanted to have deco parts and build parts, then by all means bring them in. I'm not really that bothered. Yeah, so just go with whatever works for you. I mean, there are some really nice features, and if I was building into a map for keeps, I would most certainly put them there. But you've seen me do that in the previous video, and if you haven't, go and watch that and you can see how that's all done. But for this, just to make it probably a little, possibly, hopefully, I don't know, maybe a little bit faster, I'm going to leave those out. So anyway, now that we've actually got all of the parts where we want them to be, I'm going to highlight the main transformer group again, make a copy of the name just in case it hasn't already got it in there, and I'm going to go File, Export Selection with Files, and I'm going to go back to the other folder that I created, if I can find it, the water add-on item, water add-on temp, and I'm going to overwrite this one. So I'm going to paste the name, and you could also just click the O3D and then go save and overwrite it. And I'm going to keep the parent directory structure and the default game relative paths all intact. And I'm going to minimize that one down, and I'm going to open this one back up again. This is the original one, and I'm going to delete that and then import it in. So we'll import that into here. And if I go over to any of the triggers, what we should have is everything placed where it needs to be placed. So we have our parts here. So everything is where it's meant to be in here. Fantastic. Okay, so now what I should be able to do then is run the XML creator script, and it should then update the XML, the husbandry chicken XML, husbandry chicken. I've still got chickens on the mind. It should update this with all the parts required in my tags here. That's the hope anyway. So what we'll do then is we'll go scripts and water add-on XML creator, and according to that it has completed the file, so that's good. So let's minimize all of that. If we open up the XML now and have a look in here, we should have animal pen entries, which we do. Excellent, fantastic. So we've got all of our entries here, but there are a couple that are missing. We've got no milk add-on. It's not been included. So for that, I'm going to go into the example one, and I'm going to take it from here and just paste it in. So we'll take a copy of all of that and then paste that in down the bottom here, like so. I can close that down and close that folder down. Now we need to manually check a few things, because I've added extra triggers, and I've also taken the milk add-on parts from a sample mod, so none of that is going to match what I have in my mod. So we need to, or this particular, it's not mine, but this particular husbandry setup. So we need to make a few adjustments to the XML to make everything line up where it needs to be lined up. So we're going to check through the triggers and make sure that they are positioned where they're meant to be positioned. And we'll just have a look and see what's what. So if we have a look at this trigger for the water trough add-on, let's have a look what we've got here. So we've got player trigger, no, that doesn't line up. So let's have a look at this player trigger and see what we have here. Okay, so 55131. 55, yeah, that one's in the right place, but it's located for the wrong thing, but that's okay, doesn't matter. A trigger is a trigger. So if we go to this trigger then, even though it's for the other thing, if we look at this one here, what we will do is update this one with this information. So I'm going to overwrite this. No, I'm not. I'm going to overwrite this. looking at the wrong thing. Need to make sure you're looking at the trigger in the XML here. So we're going to go 557.311, 118.809, and 298.56. I think because when I've run the script, I've got two triggers in the actual setup, it's got confused and it's put this one, the readings, it's taken from the milk trigger and put them in with the water trough add-on, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, triggers are triggers. So as long as it's spawning triggers in the correct places for, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter about the designation, but you could theoretically overwrite these with the right, you know, combination in there, but it doesn't matter either way. So I've updated that one there, that's fine. And also I need to update the sale area with the correct position so it spawns the physical item in the right place, this piece here. So if we go to that one and update that, so because remembering I've taken all of this stuff from a sample mod and everything's going to be in the wrong places. So we want 551.039, on 1.869 and 344.982, and this has no rotation, so we're going to delete the rotate or put the rotation back to 0. So that should be that, and we'll click save. Okay, so we have those parts all in the right places now, hopefully. All of this stuff should be okay. We shouldn't need to change any of that stuff. There's just for some reason a couple of things it seems to not position 100% in the right places, but we should be okay now. So that's that. And if you're not 100% sure when you're looking at any of this stuff in here, where it's got shared i3D node 4455111179, basically what this is referring to is the actual shared folder in the Animal Pen extension i3D. So if we go into here and go into Animal Pen parts and we look at the index numbers for the items, if you look in here, our triggers are always set at 0. So if we look in the XML, you can see the shared i3D node is 0. So there's one there and there's one there for our triggers, and you can then work out what everything is. So if that's 0, then flange bend is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. So if we wanted to know what shared i3D node 4 was, we could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 4, is that not 1 then? Yeah, it is, yeah, I just counted wrong. So 4 is going to be pipe straight. So this one here is pipe straight, 5 is pipe bend, 1 is flange, and we've got 2 of those, and then 2 should be the valve, which it is. So you can locate all of the parts, what they refer to, and if you wanted to, you could then go through and check all of the position and rotation for each part of these, but they should be fine. For some reason, it's just the triggers and other things like the optional stuff that doesn't seem to get updated and put in the right places. But it's really relatively easy to come in here and just do it manually anyway. Just take your readings from your position in the Giants Editor attributes and just update them manually, and you should be fine there. But everything else just seems to be a little bit, I'm not sure, weird. The triggers don't seem to get put in the right places. But at the end of the day, these scripts are helper scripts. That's all they are. They're helper scripts. And, you know, at the end, I appreciate that I have them, because it would make my job way, way harder if I had to try and do it all manually. So, you know, we've got those as helper scripts. They're not there to, you know, do everything for us, just there to kind of hold our hand and give us a starting position to go for or go from, and then we can update things as we need to manually. So they're, you know, as they are described, helper scripts. But now we have everything where we need it, hopefully, we can go ahead and remove all of this stuff. But I'm just going to shut down the map and click no, I don't want to save it. and that's fine. And we don't need any of this stuff in this actual mod because it will be spawned in by the script. So we'll close that down and click no as well. We don't need to have any of that in there because everything is going to be controlled by the XML. So if I've set everything up correctly in here, what we should have is all of the triggers spawn in the right places. Our milk add-on stuff should spawn in the right places and give us our appropriate triggers and whatever else. Yeah, and we should be good to go. So let's hope that that is right. So what I want to do then is, first of all, I'm going to take that script out of there, or that zip out of there, because I don't need that in the map. And then we'll put this in the mod folder and we'll test stuff out. Because there are times when you can get to a position in any of this sort of stuff, and the only way you can move forward is put it in game. Run it in game, see if it works, see what errors you get, and then work through them. Now, hopefully I won't get any errors, but I have had a few each time I've tried to do this, and had to work through them, but they have been relatively easy fixes, but just time consuming. So we'll start a new game save, new farmer mode, and we want Oakville Farm. Make sure you've got all your scripts where you need your zips in the right folders. So we have our animal pen extension and the map, and I've got the fast forward mod just so that I can get into the right places a bit quicker. And we'll see what we end up with. So we do have the mod, that's fine. If we go over to here, yeah, it's put it all in the wrong places. And this is the problem I've been having when I've done it. For some reason, it puts the scripts, puts the parts in the wrong places, and I don't know why it's doing that, because I have over here the contractor mod for the milk, which it should be over here, and this one is over here. Seems to be a little backwards. I don't know what's going on there. So it's probably something that I'm overlooking, but that's not the first time it's done it to me. I have had it do that quite every time I've tried to do this. The first time round, it puts everything in the wrong places. But, we can hopefully fix that quite quickly. So if I go back into here again then, and we'll open up the placeable. And if I then import my temp stuff that I put together, we should be able to hopefully work out what's going on and update the XML accordingly. So if I go into the XML here, let's close all of that stuff down, and we'll see if we can figure out what's going on. So if we do player trigger, this is the one for the water trough add-on. So let's go to water trough add-on. Let's just have a look, and we'll update these. Now, what I said before about the triggers locations doesn't matter. I was wrong. It does appear it does. But I've done this so many times now that I'm getting really confused on what is what, I think. So let's just do this. Let's update everything as it is in the editor. That should be okay, yep. So let's do this one then. 298.56. And we want bigger marker, which is this one. Let's just see if that's right, which it is not. So let's do 557.334. That's 119.87 and 299.307. Okay. Then we have our other player trigger, which is for the milk sales. So let's just see what we have there. And then we'll change this one as well, and let's hope that that's right. So 551.111, and that is actually correct. And then 341. 0.695 551 1118. Okay, let's see what that does. That should be fine. Okay, so we'll close that down. And then we can close that down and don't need to save it. So let's see if that's worked. It has done that to me every time so far. I've got into the map and the trigger positions have been in wrong places. So I think what I've done is I've just changed numbers and then I've done it so many times it's just become a confusing mess. But hopefully I haven't confused you guys too much with that. So yeah, make sure your triggers are right in the XML. Take the numbers from the appropriate attributes and position them in the right places. But hopefully now what we should have is everything where it's meant to be. Let's just have a look. Okay, fantastic. So we now do have our marker in the right place, so that's good. And we have our milk doodah in the right place, so we can actually contact the milk contractor and get them to come and pick our milk up for a fee. We don't have any milk at the moment, but that's fine. And if I then come into here, we can purchase our water fill points. So that is basically that. It is working in the map. It's a little bit of a roundabout way of doing things, but it does seem to be working. It is possible. So to answer the question that I got, is it possible to do it in maps with pre-built animals? Yes, but it is a bit of work. Let's just say that. So what I'll do then is I'll purchase this. So yes, and again 6 o'clock in the morning, 10 hours to complete. So I'm just going to cheat a little bit here, and we will set the time to 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll just speed up time a little bit to get round to 6 o'clock. And as you can see, I've got no decorative objects, so it looks like everything's disappeared. Oh dear, it's all gone horribly wrong. But if I keep going, each part will then start to spawn in and build. But if you had all your decorative stuff in the map, then obviously, you would see that, and that would, give you a good, clear indication that everything's working. But as you can see, I'm speeding up time there, and all the parts are spawning in correctly. I just didn't want to have another really long video, but it looks like this one's going to be an hour long anyway. It is what it is. And then if I come over here, it says you have no animals, so water is unavailable. So let's fix that and buy some animals. So now if I come back over to here, and we can start to fill, and everything is doing what it's meant to do. So if I go into here, we have water going into our cows. So yeah, like I said, it is possible. You can actually get it to work in a map with pre-built in animal pens and whatever else. And then you would just, when you've got your milk from the cows, the script is set up to find the best price in the market, and you can then sell how many litres you want to by selecting them here, and then click OK, and it will get sold for you. And yeah, that's pretty much that. I'm ShyWizard. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.